Okay, so I want to do one more tzitzit sugya and one more sugya from this parak, and then we can move on. But we really can't finish the sugya of tzitzit if we don't at least briefly address the question of how many tzitzit, how many strings you need to have. That's pretty fundamental.
A little thing to mention.
So, well, the Gemara holds it off till Memalafim and Beis. So if you turn to Memalafim and Beis, you get the following. It's like, 75% down, right? Tan Rabbanan, Kama chutin hu noten. How many strings do you put on your tzitzis? So Beit Shammai Omrim Arba, Beit Hillel Omrim Shlosha. Beit Shammai says 4, which is what we paskin. Right? This is one of those rare cases in which we paskin like Beit Shammai against Beit Hillel. And Beit Hillel says you have 3. Now, what's their argument? So, what does the Gemara say? What's their argument? Beit Hillel Omrim. V'kama tehei mishuleshet, and then the Gemara says, right? Basically, this whole unit talks about the size. So the first question, the number and the structure of the tzitzit. So the first machlokes it has is 3 versus 4, and then it says v'kama tehei mishuleshet. So what does that mean? And how much of it should be tied versus how much should be hanging loose? Right. So you look at Rashi, like kluyahanaf levad minagdil. Right. How much of the strings should be hanging besides for the? So he says, Bishami Omrim Arba. Rishami says 4. Shami says 4 fingers worth. Til Omrim Shalosh. The Kamatei Mishuleshet, and how much of it should be the actual tied up part. Shami Omrim Arba V'Zomrim Shalosh V'Shalosh Beit Hillel Omrim Achat Me'Arba B'Tefach Shekol Adam. And what's the size? What are we talking about? So each of these sizes is 1 and a 4 tefach of each person. Okay. Look, we could have done a lot more on sizes and things like that, but let's just focus on this. So we have the machloket Beit Hillel Beit Shammai, whether you're supposed to have 3 strings on each corner, right? This is on each corner. Yeah. Right? How many strings? 3, which is 6, or 4, which is 8. Now, there are really 2 sugya that you have to do within numbers. Right? One is, we'll try to do quickly today, because it's really not long sugya, is how many strings do you have? The second is that a minimum, or can you add to that? So this is how the Gemara presents it. Now, if you turn to Membet Amud Aleph, so Membet Amud Aleph, you have Rav Acha, right? Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Rami Arba, Va'ayef Lehu Meyef. So Rav Acha hung 4. Ra'ayev Lomeyev Lehu, and so Rashi says Kofa Lakotam Shalem Tzitzit. He would fold it before it went into the tzitzit. U'ma'ayaleh beglima, and put it in his clothes. Va'aviklu meivak ksaver beinan tamnaya beglima. So why did he do this? Because he wanted 8. Which is what we do, right? 4, yeah. Fold it over. 4, meaning, so here's where the Gemara tells you that the, that's the Gemara's question. Maybe he would, Rashi, the owner and Choser Mathis, right, so he would put in 4, which he would fold into 8. Because kasavar binan tabnaya beglima keichla v'gdil gidilim b'makom til, because he needed right? Gidil, gidilim, so multiple in the place of the string. Rabbi Yirmi midifti, Rami tobnaya. But Rabbi Yirmi bar Difti put 8 strings, De'inu Shitzar, which were, right, 8 which is 16, V'lo avik lahu. And he wouldn't, or he would just sort of attach them to the corner, and Ma'barei Darvina avid kedidan. So now you have 3 which is 6, 4 which is 8, and then you have 8 which is 16. Right? 8 which is 16. And those are the positions you have here. And then again on Lamed Tadam and Beis, if you turn back, so you had this as well. Rabba bar bar Chana Amar Ya'i Glim of Yami Tchelda Maika Miflagei Rabba bar bar Chana Savar Ktiv Gedil Ktiv Ptil O Gedil O Ptil Rab Savar Lolam Ptil Beinan Vehu Gedilim Minyana Hu Diata. Well, let's not go back over the other part, but the point is on the word Gedilim. He said, how does he understand the word Gedilim? Gedil Shnayim. 1 Gedil he understands as 2. Gedilim Arba, which means Asay Gedil V'Potleu Mitocho. So that's where the 4 comes from, according to the Gemara, is this drasha of Gedilim, right? So we have 3 which is 6, 4 which is 8, 8 which is 16, and the Gemara in one place gives us a drasha for Beit Shammai's position, which is Gedil is always 2 strings, because it's not it's like a knotted woven string, and then Gedilim means you have plural of those, so 2 times 2 is 4, which is 8.
So,
right, 2 strings each, and then they fold, so it's
strings that are 2 each.
Correct.
And that's 4 together.
Which is 8 when you double. Okay? So let's just try to let's try to do the question number 1, which is how did they get to this? And I don't know how conceptual this gets, but at least we should have the evidence on the table. So, if you look at the Sifrei in number 4, what's the Sifrei, remember?
From France.
What?
From France.
The Sifrei is the Tanaim. Mishnah, it's the Midrash Halacha.
From France.
It's the Tanaim. So he quotes, Gedilim da'aselacha. You should make Gedilim. Lama ne'amar, the Fisha ne'amar, basulem tzitzit. Because the pasuk says you should make tzitzit. Shomeh ani yaseh chud echad b'fnei atzmo. So I might think you could get away with 1 string. Talmud lomar Gedilim. So plural. Kama Gedilim na'asim. How many do you make? So ein pachot mishlosha chutim kedivrei Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai omrim arba chutim. So the Gemara, the Sifrei first says you need strings. Now you might think it's 1 string, but it says Gedilim, which implies plural. How many is plural? So it quotes, as we have in our Gemara, Beit Hillel says 3, Beit Shammai says 4. So Beit Shammai omrim me'arba chutim shel tchelet v'arba chutim shel lavan shel arba etzbaot. So he says 4 strings of tchelet, 4 of white. Now they're different girsot here, right? This girsa supports, if you remember Rashi and Tosfot, we saw it earlier in the year, that it's 2 and 2, which is 4 and 4. There are versions that do not have that girsa, that have the Ravid's girsa, that it's 1 which is 2, and then 3 which is 6. But at any rate, it's 4 strings. Balacha kedivrei Beit Shammai. And the halacha is like Beit Shammai, Bamed Dvar Mamurim, Batchila, but this is only initially that you need this size. Aval b'shiareh u'v'gardumeh kol shu. But this length of the finger lengths is only lechatchila if it rips. So that's the sugya of gardumen, which we already discussed. Now, based on this, do you have any idea why Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai argue what they do on the Sifrei? I don't. Right? I have absolutely no idea. Right? The Sifrei just says Gedilim is plural, and then Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai argue about whether Gedilim is 3 or 4. So I don't know, right? They don't seem to have
What do they argue against this? Or are they arguing against the Sifrei for?
Not against the
not
Sifrei.
again. It says plural, and then they argue.
Is it 3 or is it 4?
It's 3, and then the other one says, I think plural is 4, but.
Right, so again, the simple shot in the Sifrei is that's it, right? Meaning, we know that Gedil is not a single string, it's some sort of woven, tied, knotted thing, which needs multiple strings. How many? Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai argue, one says 3, one says 4. They don't give you more information. They don't give you more information than that. So, why then would you have an argument? So again, it could just be that they think a Gedil is this sort of knotted string, and they just argue how many strings have to be in it to be defined as a Gedil. But the Rishonim and the Achronim suggest different answers, and maybe we can tease some conceptual things out of it. I'm not 100% sure. So first look at Tosfot on Mem Aleph Amud Beis. You see there are 2 Tosfot in Beit Shammai. So first look at the first Tosfot, and he says, well, according to the Bavli, why does Beit Shammai think you need 4 strings? Remember Lamed Ten Amud Beis, right? The Sifrei doesn't say this. The Sifrei says you need Gedilim. Gedilim implies plural. Beis Hillel says 3. Beis Shammai says 4. How does the Gemara in Lamed Tet present it? Remember, we just saw it a minute ago. Gedil, according to the Bavli, means what? 2 strings. Not right. Gedil means 2, meaning it means more than 1, and the minimum of more than 1 is always 2. It's very complicated mathematically. And Gedilim, therefore, means twice Gedil. So if each Gedil is 2, and you need Gedilim, it's 4, and then you fold those over, it's 8. So that's Beit Shammai. Right? That's a different drush than the Sifrei. Right? According to this, the argument for Beit Shammai, again, you want to call this Lumdish argument, you want to call it an exegetical argument, it's that a Gedil isn't a string, it's a
2 strings woven together.
It's some sort of string that you can make some sort of tie and weaving or something in it. So a Gedil has to be 2 at least. And it doesn't say Gedil, it says Gedilim.
But Gedil itself looks like 1. It's 2 strings twined together.
Right, and therefore if you need 2 of those, plural. It's just right. Beit Shammai, according to the Bavli, seems to be just a Gedil is plural, minimum plural is 2, and we have plural of Gedils, so the minimum of 2 2s is 4, and then you fold it over, so you got 8. Right, so that's what he says. Time in Beit Shammai, nicha kedashin la'el Gedil shnaim Gedilim arba. Aval tama de Beit Hillel kasha. Dochak lomar dedletlu el Gedilim shnaim uftil tchelet haret lata. So he says, but I don't understand Beit Hillel. But in the process of not understanding Beit Hillel, he gives you the first possibility. His first possibility is that Beit Hillel thinks that Gedilim means 2 total. So then how do you get to 3? Ptil. Right? Ptil. So what's his argument? His argument is that Beit Shammai, so his first suggestion is that there is sort of a conceptual machlokas, which is, according to Beit Shammai, the tzitzit are completely Gedilim. And therefore, Gedil 2, Gedilim 4, 4 times 2 is 8. Right? Beit Hillel, the problem is that his number is odd, which means that, what does Tosfot know within Beit Hillel? He can't just be based on doubling, because he'll never get to 3. So therefore, what does he do? He says, maybe, first possibility is that Beis Hillel holds Gedilim means 2. He doesn't buy that Gedilim means doubled. He just thinks it means 2.
Then you add the tchelet.
And then he thinks Ptil is a different word, which means just thread, right, string. So he thinks that every tzitzit is made of Gedilim plus Ptil. Now, the only thing I might suggest is that maybe, if this is correct, what might the machlokes conceptually be between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai?
Whether one has petinim versus...
No, these are different words for string. Daniel, what might the machlokes be? I'm just throwing this out. I'm not convinced, but maybe. So maybe it's, you remember at the beginning of the year we talked about what are the roles of the tchelet versus the lavan, and we said the Rambam, who holds 1 of 8, seems to hold that it's, as the Rav understood it, that the role of the tchelet is to wrap. So there's 2 elements. There's the string, and then there's the wrapping.
Right.
So it could be that Beis Hillel conceptualizes, he says Gedilim, plus Ptil, which gets you 2 different conceptual units, 2 plus 1.
Okay.
And maybe Beit Shammai, because if you notice, if you take the Beit Shammai as we have in Ar Sifrei, as it's in Ar Sifrei, what does it say about Beis Hillel? Beis Hillel says Gedilim is plural 3. Beit Shammai says 4, but then it adds an argument for Beit Shammai, which is 2 white, 2 blue. But remember, we said, what was the argument of a Tosfot-like argument of 2 and 2? That all the strings have the same function, and you're supposed to wrap. But that's different, meaning the strings are simply equivalent.
Right.
So it could be that Beit Shammai needs an even number because he conceptualized tzitzis as a number of strings, and then he conceptualizes it that you tie the strings with one of their own. And therefore you don't need an odd number.
Oh, okay.
But Beis Hillel might hold a radical Rambam, essentially. Right? Which is, no, every tzitzis, before you even get to the tchelet, are made up of the gdilim, which is like the body, and then the ptil, which you're going to wrap. And therefore, if you need a gdilim plus ptil, so then you can have an odd number. But if you say that all the strings are equivalent, and then you wrap from within, it needs to be an even number because everything is derived from gdilim. Because gdil and ptil aren't 2 conceptual models, aren't 2 conceptual elements. So within Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, according to Tosfos, is Hava Amina. Maybe that's the machlokes about the numbers. And then he says, V'shma Mina Had Darshin and Gdilim Arba Hainu Bekfela. When we say Gdilim 4, that means doubled. Va'alav Ankai. And he thinks it's talking about the white. V'hashad Ar Beit Shammai do it in Tchelet Deptil Lav Dafka. Usvaru lashvotam, and within Beit Shammai, Tosfos basically agrees with what I just said. It's just that he doesn't like it within Beis Hillel, which is that he says Betil is dav dafka, and whatever is true of white is true of blue. Usvaru lashvotam, ha'bar bachutim below kveila. Right, meaning Tosfos says that within Beit Shammai, clearly the argument is that even though the blue is going to do the wrapping, there's no conceptual difference between the blue and the white. They're both equivalent parts of the mitzvah. And therefore, the final number of strings is an equal amount of blue and white, which means there's always going to have to be an equal number. But Beit Hillel sabri the ptil dafka. But Beit Hillel holds that no, ptil is specific, it's different than gdilim, and therefore you're going to look for a distinction. And therefore, dafka wants an odd number so that there will be part of it which is called gdilim, which are plural by definition, and then the ptil which is added. Now the Sifrei doesn't sound that way within Beit Hillel, because the Sifrei sounds like, right, Tosfos' conceptualization of Beis Hillel is that 3 is really 2 plus 1. But the Sifrei thinks that 3 is 3. Right? The Sifrei sounds like 3 is 3. Gdilim, plural, how many? 3. Now, I don't know if that's because he's thinking not a twist, he's thinking a braid, and a braid always is 3. Like, I don't know. Right? It could be that's where he gets 3, right? A braid is always 3. So or something like that. I don't really know. V'Rabbeinu Tam Perish, Dimigdil Nafkahu LeBeit Hillel, Da'avot Miturgam Ovad Gidilo, V'nir Lefizeh DeBeit Hillel Darshi Gdilim Harei Shisha, Dishenich V'lo Yud Bet. Rabbeinu Tam says he gets it from Gedil, which he understands as Oved Gedulo, which is some sort of woven string, twisted strings. But he says, according to this, he thinks that Beis Hillel is going to hold not 3, which is 6, but unlike the Sifrei, 6, which is 12. Because he thinks that the definition of deal is 6, and then you double it. But he says, the most likely for Beis Hillel is that he doesn't have this drush at all. And he says, "V'chein mashma sifrei, v'asu lehem mashma niyasa otan echad v've'atzot tamalo gdilim mikama gdil echad naseit in brachot v'shlisha d'vrei Beit Hillel." And he says the simple pshat of sifrei is nothing like this, because it just says make. Right, according to the sifrei, Beit Hillel doesn't seem to hold that gdil means a woven string with multiple pieces. What does he think it means? Or a twisted string? What does it mean? A string. So how does he know you need more than one? Because it's a gdilim. Right? He says the simple pshat in Beis Hillel is known as lumdos. It's just gedil for Beis Hillel, unlike Beit Shammai. Beit Shammai thinks a gedil is a double string. Right? Something that you could weave or twist. Beis Hillel just says gedil means a string. And for some reason he thinks the minimum number of strings, plural, is 3. I don't know why, because normally it's 2, but it just is.
So what makes it different from Batila at this point?
He just doesn't know that. I mean, he's saying the simple pshat of the sifrei is not like this. Because the sifrei, remember we just read it, is gedilim ein pachot mishlosha. Gedilim means strings. How many? 3. Why? No idea. Right? It just says it. But you see that what Tosfos is going at is this. Right? Tosfos has one possibility that they argue basically: are all the strings defined as gedilim? Or is it gdil plus ptil? If it's all gdilim, it's going to end up even, meaning all the strings are equivalent, and then one of them wraps from within. Or do you conceptualize it as strings plus a wrapper, which would get you 2 plus 1? Then he gives another possibility that maybe he literally defines gdil as 6 for some reason, right? As a certain type of twisted string, and then that's doubled, which is 12. But in the end, he says the simplest reading of the sifrei is that there really is not much lumdus here. That the lumdus is that Beis Hillel interprets gdil as string, and Beis Shammai interprets gdil as a twisted string, a woven string, and therefore Beis Hillel sees gdil, thinks it's one string. Gdilim is plural. Why he says 3, nobody knows. And Beis Shammai is the one who starts getting gdilim. Gdil is a double. Gdilim is plural is double. So 2 times 2 is 4 is 4, and then folded is 8. Next Tosfos tries to understand Beit Shammai better, and he says, "Peirush v'kodros haptil yehei arba." The corner must have 4. Nimtza gdil shnayim. Right? If each corner needs 4, then each of the gdil must be 2. V'mitam peirush hagdil kai v'anaf shmoneh harei shnei masar. And he says maybe this is going on the gdil, and the anaf is 8. So you get 12. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not the number. This is on the size. Right? Sorry, this is the size. Take back what I just said. Yeah. Okay. Let's not do the size now. Okay, but that's one possibility of this. If you look at Rashi and Tosfot on Membet Amud Aleph, so Membet Amud Aleph, he gets another possibility. Rashi says that Beit Shammai, or the 4 holds, Gedil is always 2, Gedilim is plural of 2s, which is 4. And then you fold it to 8. Right, like we already said. But how do you get 8? Dechtiv Gedilim lirabot od. Shnei Gedilim. Dahavu tamnaya chutin. So he says, why would someone hold 8? Because he would hold all of this and then double it again. Right? Meaning, Gedilim, l'rabot od shtayim gedilim, dahavu tamnaya chutin. Meaning you have 4, right? He defines the gedil in the end of the day of 2 2s, and therefore gedilim is 2 2 2s, which is 8.
8 on, not on 1, 8 total? Or?
No. Dinu shitzar. Remember, there's a machlokas there, right? Is it it 2, which is 2, which is 4, which is time folded, which is 8, or 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8, times 2, which is 16. Right? And he thinks that it's, right, how does he get there? So we get there.
Gidilim or something? Gidilim meaning plural?
Meaning a string with multiple pieces.
Right, so gidilim would make it, wait.
Right, that each string would be, according to him, doubled. And doubled of doubled. Right, he thinks that Gidil is, right, Od Shnei Gidilim. Again, I'm not really sure how he gets this, if he has the extra word. I'm not completely clear how he got there. And that's how he gets to 16. If you look at Tosfot, he says, Darish Gedilim Arba'ah B'chein Mitchelet Shevishad Inan Vital Yushmona. Right? Yirmi Divti Sober Kain Vimgain Avelu Shitzud Letlu Avak. He just says the question is, right, whether you focus on the whether you need this pre or post folding. Right, he says, right, Tosfot says the machlokes is very simple. Everyone agrees that by the end you need 8. What's their machlokes conceptually? Daniel?
How do you get to 8?
Whether the 8 are 8 doubled strings, or he holds you don't fold it, and therefore you need, right? You need, meaning the 8 strings are defined as 8 strings, right, which is 16. Meaning, when is the definition kicking in according to Tosfot? That's really the machlokes. Right? Is it the 8 or the 8? Right? Is it 8, which is 4 times 2? I mean, when do you define it as strings?
The 4 strings double to 8, or the 8, you have to have 8
correct.
strings, it would be 16 afterwards.
Okay. And if you look at Shita Mikubet said, he says, Perish Rashi, Shtei Lashonot, V'nir Yitzhak Lakbet Al Chutin Shebesofa Talit, Mikan U'Mikan Shein Lam Arev, K'moshe B'Sher Talit Shol Yitoch Sholosh Esbaot, etc. Sorry, the last one. Dachi Dar Gdil Shnaim, Gdilei Arba, Gdilim. Oh, sorry. This is what Rashi means, right? Shita Megubet clarifies what Rashi means. Sorry, I knew I put it there for a reason. He says, and this is a very weird drasha, it goes like this. Gdil, 2. Gdili, 4. Gdilim, with the extra mem, 8. Fold them over, 16. If you have a conceptual explanation for the words I just said, tell me later. Like I said, I don't know if I have a conceptual explanation for everything I just said. I'm like throwing out a few explanations, but basically, I'm just telling you that this is what exists. Okay? Another possibility. What? No. So let's just quickly, I don't want to do 2 days of this, so let's quickly see a little bit more. Look at the Rashash, has another possible, again, I'm not sure there's lumdus here. Ray Ginsburg claims he has a lumdus explanation for every single one. I've given you my first approach of whether this is Gedil plus Ptil, or Gedilim is the whole category, or, etc. But I think a lot of it is just Gzera, right, is how you understand the drashot. The Rashash says, I don't know what Rashi means. Nearly the Chaser Teva Achat. He said it's missing the word. This is how he says it. He says it's not that it's Gidili plus Gidilim. It's that it's Gidilim, which is 8. But then there's a Chiyuv Asiya, which we interpret as make that which we call Gidilim twice. Okay? Now, the only lumdus I could say here is whether you think that Gidil is a part of the tzitzis, right? Meaning the end result is Gedilim, or is it that each unit is Gedilim, and therefore you could have units of things called Gedilim? That seems to be the machlokas according to him, right? Is it that the end result is Gedilim, or is that Gedilim or is the basic subunit of strings, but you could have multiple units of Gdilim, within it, that seems to be how the Rashash understands it. The Chlushe Anshe Shem says, nearly Shadorish Tzitzit, Shnei Chutin, Ptil Shnei Chutin Are Arba. He says, no, it's a different Xeris Akaso. Tzitzit, he understands as 2, Ptil, he thinks is 2, Ugdilin Amru Mishnator, Balahos Valem Kamota Mot Shnei Gdilin. He thinks that it goes like this. Chut 2. No. Tzitzit 2. Ptil 2, which is 4, which is 8. And then Gedilim is doubling that whole thing, meaning a Gedil is a Ptil plus a Tzitzit, which makes a Gedil, and then Gedilim are 4. So again, you see this machlokes, right? Is a Gedil a component of the Tzitzis, or is it the end result? So according to him, the 16 thinks that a Gedil are everything that we've compiled from Ptilim and Tzitziot, and then you double that. So if Tzitzit is 2 and Ptil is 2, so then a Gedil is a 4, which is 8, and Gedilim is twice that, which is 16. If you look at the Piskei Rid, one more possibility. He just explains very clearly that the machlokas of 8 versus 16 is whether you need 8 which are on the knaf, okay, or 8 when you put them into the knaf. You understand that machloket? Right? Meaning he thinks the machloket of 4 which is 8 or 8 which is 16 is that everyone agrees 8. What's the machloket? Is 8 necessary as the end result? Or is 8 necessary when you put the tzitzit into the beged? If it's the result, so it's 4 which is 8. If it's that you need 8 when you put it on the kanaf, so then you need 8 which is 16. If it's result oriented, so then you count
the 4 strings into 8.
The resulting strings, so therefore you only need 4. Right. But if you think that you need 8 strings when you put it on the knaf, right, from the moment of asiyah, right, it's not about the result, it's that when you make it, you make it with 8 rather than the result is 8, so then it's 8 which is 16.
Right.
Which I think is pretty mistaber, that's the machlokes, right?
A lot of strings. That's
correct.
That's really one corner. 64 strings on your beged.
Okay, I'm going to leave off the Tosim Bechara. Like I said, I'm not sure I have lamdus for everything. It may just be drasha, but it's important to at least get it out there. The more lamdish question is the next one, which is, are you allowed to add? Right, which we'll do tomorrow. Right, which is, this is the minimum, can you have more than that? Okay, we'll stop.